Yes, it does. And I can now see the red line.
Good evening and welcome to the October meeting of the Parish Council. And welcome you all. Also welcome, we've got representatives tonight, Matt Wall and John Rowlands, who are both associated with the Drainage Board, and will be having a discussion with us during the public session. So we'll get to that in just a moment. Are there any apologies for absence that we've got?
Andy, David and Katie, three that are missing. They've sent their apologies. So,
Yeah, members are happy to approve those? Any declarations of interest? I'll do my normal one as a member of Sunset Council.
Yeah.
Any others?
Shop.
Sure.
Shop and hall.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. There's a planning one here for me. The third one down, Greystones, but no, I don't know if I work for them.
Okay.
So Greystones,
And I'll kind of shop and all, but I don't think we've got anything that's necessarily going to be coming up on the agenda, so. Fine. You have minutes circulated, so we'll take two separate ones. We can deal with them both in public session, although one of them was confidential, as long as we don't start discussing the items that were in the confidential one. If anyone wants to change anything, then you'll have to go into confidential session. But if we take the open ones first, which was for the
September, actually, not July. As it
yes,
says on there.
it is good that threw me for a minute. So it's September meeting. Were there any amendments other than the date that anyone wants to make? Okay. In which case, can I have a proposal or a show of accurate record? Colin, thank you. Charlie seconded. All in favour that I sign them as a record? Unanimous.
It was a deliberate mistake. Spotted. Come back. You know what happens?
Too polite.
And then the second one was the short confidential minute that was circulated. Any amendments to that? If not, can I get a proposal that we sign them? Thank you, Malcolm. Is that seconded? Jane? All those in favour, please show. That's clearly carried.
Signature on the confidential one.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Right, that brings us to the public session. So at this point, if I can hand over to, I don't know who wants to go, but Matt, if you're going to introduce just what you're
Are you okay if I stay sat down?
Perfect. No problem.
So, the invited day, we just sort of answer any questions about the service of drainage around the whole village. I mean, I've a bit of a background. I've worked for Drainage Board for 20 years. I managed contracts for the whole consortium. So I've got quite a bit of knowledge about this area as well. I've just managed water levels around here myself on a day-to-day basis. So I'm sort of fairly familiar with what goes on. So yeah, and John, if you want to do that.
Yes, I'm John Robbins. I'm a consultant, although my claim to fame, if that's such a thing, is that I was previously employed by the Environment Agency for a long time. Let's just put it like that. I retired for about 2 weeks, as most people do. Yeah, if you want something, then ask a busy person, as you well know. So. I was then asked by the Drainage Board to do a review of some drainage, just towards the top end here. And it was as a result of that study that some other questions I had were made. And really this is an invite for the Parish Council to discuss flood risk.
In particular, are we talking at the back of the church in this particular scenario? Or?
Not so much the church itself, because I did meet Bob and others, and they were engaged with FRAG, the Family Water Advisory Group, around attenuating the flow there. But I suppose in some ways it is linked, because everything that falls up there ends up here, because this is your lowest spot. And for me, we are all aware of when it rains, there are problems, and most of the sort of the press coverage is linked to rivers, but actually some of the biggest issues that we are seeing now is surface water. And that is looking at the maps for your village, that's a real concern, I would say. So I'll say no more than that now, because I do tend to warm along a little bit, and Matt has to go and play Skittles, so I need to get so I need to get that one in first. So I'll hand over to Matt to make sort of an introduction, and then hopefully I'll come.
So yeah, no, like I said, I've been involved with this area for some time now. So you know, there's been quite a bit of work done around. I'm going to say the Knoll as a whole, not just Brent Knoll, East Brent, because it is all one as far as we're concerned with drainage. We're trying to tackle issues as and when they arrive. I think we had major issues when we had the main flooding in 2012-13, and as a consequence of that, we had a round of meetings with all parish councils, and we picked up work from that. As a consequence of that, we actually delivered the Brent Street culvert just up the road here. That was a good piece of work, because we're away from the Church Lane back towards the Applewithy into a better system, away from the residential area to more of the agricultural area. So that was a good success. There was funding from Wessex Water as well for that, 50,000 as well, which I'll pay for that. Other stuff we've done, just so everybody's aware, we have received some really good schemes in this area, getting quite well serviced, I believe, from the drainage board. So the Applewithy connection, which is basically where the new development is on Station Road, is a connection from the culvert from the old West Town gutter going back towards the Applewithy. So again, that's an improvement. The original route was actually across Station Road, underneath the houses, and then back out to Middle Street. Now, the thinking behind that for the drainage board was that to replace that culvert would have been far more costly than creating an open channel back towards another view ring. So we're quite open thinking, and rather just working with what we've got, we've looked at other options available to us. Burton Road culvert, slightly, I'm not sure if that is Brent Knoll or it is Brent Knoll. So Burton Road culvert, that was a real success. We had an issue of flooding in that property. The board, they did fund that work from unspent maintenance money, so we didn't pile our money back into reserves. It was reallocated to that scheme. So that was a good piece of work, and I believe the household there was very pleased that we pushed on with that. And it was a good time as well. It was last year when we were on the rainfall as well. So that's another one. Crooked Lane culvert, Crooked Lane, small undersized culvert. We managed to then upsize that to a better point. Lots of flooding around that area as well. So, like I said, as and where we can, we will make these improvements rather than a whole mill scheme for the whole lot. We sort of try and pick up as and when we can.
As somebody that has no idea what a culvert is, what is a
Sorry.
culvert?
A culvert is a pipe that conveys water.
Right, okay.
So, under the road, we have a pipe that conveys water
Right,
from
okay.
one side of the road to the other side.
Okay.
Or there'll be a culvert, like a service board culvert, all the way down to the pavement, from the zigzag bend up here, all the way down back towards I can't remember there's the Bower Ring, ends up to the Bower Ring over
Right.
there. So there are lots of culverts around
Right.
here.
So these are like the big pipes that go from one side.
They can be big pipes, little pipes,
Okay.
stone gate pipes, all sorts. And that's what we refer to. The majority of our culverts on culvert water courses, surface water culverts belong to Essex. The culverts that we mainly deal with are primarily really inland highways, and they're almost orphaned culverts. No one really knows who owns them. So if we do get our standard questions to highways would be, we get a culvert that collapsed up the highway, we would go to them, your culvert's collapsed, and they would say, no, it's not ours, it's yours. So we have to have the long debate and end up the same position. The highways will not take ownership of culverts if they have to. So that's what we'd say. Other work we've done, so church road improvements in East Brent, down from the Stillings Pond development there. We improved the culvert down through there underneath the church office, back through towards the old butcher shop. There was some significant work done there, quite difficult work in urban areas, dealing with people and managing their expectations and how we worked around them. We've also done some work a long time ago with Colin, Crooked Lane,
Yes.
cycle path, improved Brent farm. We were involved with land negotiations, so we helped push that through as well. So we're very proactive where we need to be and where we can be. But I must emphasise, our resources are very limited. That's people and money as well. So we do need to sort of work with what we've got and be very clever. I would say, there are, John's been involved with SRA funding as well, so there are funding streamlines that you can sort of target for future works. SRA being one, and also the Community Flood Action Fund as well. John knows more about that than I do, and he may want to chip in and say something about that if he wants.
I can do. I suppose in some ways, whilst the Drainage Board are very proactive, flood risk management is extremely complicated. There's a number of organisations involved in it, as you will well know. So I won't go into it now, but the vast majority of flood risk management and maintenance actually rests with the riparian owner. So I'll explain what a riparian owner is. Riparian owner is the person that owns the land adjacent to the watercourse. That ownership extends to half the width of the watercourse, and the other half of the watercourse and the other side of the bank is owned by somebody else. And that somebody else is always a problem. And I spent an inordinate amount of time going to parish council meetings and explaining to people the difficulty that we have in managing this. So going back to yourself, culverts. If you walk home tonight, you will probably pass dozens of them. A lot of them are access bridges to properties. What they probably don't know is they're responsible for that crossing. So that becomes blocked and it causes flood risk which can be proven. They will be liable for damages. So why it's a very prickly thing, because a lot of people clearly do not understand what riparian ownership entails. These are responsibilities as compared to what the Drainage Board, the Environment Agency and the Local Flood Authority is attached to the County Council. They have permissive powers, they are under no duty obligation. So the SRA mentioned, I'm sure you all know what the SRA stands for.
Somerset River Society.
Brilliant, fantastic, well done, sir. So the history to this is that following the 13-14 flood, we had everybody from King Charles down visit us in Somerset, including a certain chap called Dave Cameron. I call me Dave. He came down and he said, right, we're not going to give you, well actually, we are going to give you some money. We're going to give you one-off £6 million to dredge rivers. But as part of that offer, there was an ambition to set up a rivers authority, which you all pay for. When you get your council tax bills, at the bottom there is a precept which goes to the Somerset River Authority, and on the council and sea house, you will pay £14 a year, each and every one of you, which goes towards about £3 million coming in. So the Somerset River Authority is a grant-giving authority. It's made up of about a dozen, maybe a bit less, maybe 9 partners, including Somerset Council, Highways, Drainage Board, Environment Agency, Wessex Water, Natural England. All of these come together as partners and they can bid for this £3 million to deliver schemes. Now, unfortunately, as Matt has said, resources are thin. Most authorities have their own core business to deliver with the limited resource that we have, so it's difficult sometimes. So what Matt also mentioned was CFAF, Community Flood Action Fund, which is a recently launched fund where communities and groups can bid for funds up to £20,000 to reduce flood risk in their communities. Now, a lot of people have taken that offer up and delivered it. Is anybody going to the Somerset Prepared Day on October the 15th?
Wasn't aware of it for a while.
The invite's going out to almost everybody. It's a regular event where all the parish councils come together, or anybody else who's interested, to sit down and discuss flood risk in their localities. Now, I think it's in Taunton. I can send you the details. Please try and send one representative along, because I think you will find it immensely beneficial to talk with other communities who have been flooded. And I'm saying, not saying that you will flood, but probability is that you will flood in the future with climate change, whether you believe it or not. So I'll send you details out. Please try and attend. But more importantly, they have a couple of officers, community information officers, Belle and Paul, who I'd really like to offer you as a council for them to come along and talk to you about what they can do to help you as a community overall. They've visited 170 parish councils so far, so they know what they're talking about. Paul's very good at explaining the right area ownership, so I'm very keen that any work that I do for the drainage board is linked into, it's hardwired into what you can do as a community, because nobody's going to listen to me. I'm just an ex-EA guy who doesn't know anything. They will listen to you, I hope. So we really want, hopefully, for you to lead, and maybe even get to a point where we have an open day. You know, have a half a day somewhere, and then we could walk around the village and say, look, guys, this is a drainage board view green, this is what's maintained. There are no main rivers, so the Environment Agency doesn't do it, and this is a riparian ditch. And my biggest concern is the lack of riparian maintenance. Now, somehow we can engage with these riparian owners to undertake works. Your flood risk will drastically reduce, because what we have are a number of undersized culverts. That's why I was going like this. There are big pipes, and there are little pipes. It doesn't take much to block a pipe like that. So the maintenance is key. So that was the main thrust of my meeting you today, to see, test the water, your appetite for moving these things forward. I can certainly help you to engage with some of these officers who are there to help you. And that's what the SRA is here to do. We have some money from the drainage board as well, which is what I'm being paid from. So I'm pretty sure that they will be very happy to spend some more of my time with you guys to try and pull something together. But again, my biggest concern is the surface water. All comes down these hills. You all know where it lands, because you would have seen it. You've probably driven through it. You probably thought, I wish I had my wellies when you had your high heels. I'm not talking about the blokes, by the way. Just in case you
They're the only ones that wear the heels in this.
I'm not going to say it. I've heard rumours, so I'm not going to say anymore. So those are the things that we try and need to tackle. So for me, surface water, why is it getting away? Is the block holder? Is the block drain? And again, going back to the highways, do their best with a very limited budget. The SRA funds some additional works for going empty, but generally speaking, everybody's feeling the pinch. And whether we like it or not, it's always the community that is behind all this. And if we can bring the community along with your help, I'm pretty sure we can see some significant benefits in flood risk reduction going forward.
I think I'd also like to add, really, another role that the board plays as well. We comment on developments control, not the statutory consultee, but we do feed back to the local LPA our comments on developments, proposed developments. So if we feel that it's going to impact on the drainage system, we will object to it, and generally the council will uphold our objection. Another thing as well is, riparian ditches and watercourses, all watercourses within the IDB area come under the jurisdiction of the IDB, and they're controlled by our bylaws. So, any work done within 9 metres or in those channels needs consent from the IDB before it's done. So, while you're out and about, if you see a landowner infilling or put a culvert in and you're concerned about it, then you need to contact us so we can check. Because once it's done, it's more difficult to remove it than it is to actually stop it while it's happening. historically, the board has changed how it monitors and manages this issue over the past 20, 30 years ago. It was almost a bit of a free-for-all. Anybody could do anything, and everything was under control. They only really controlled what happened on the viewed greens, which are the greens that we maintain. But now we will look at every water course, every development, and if there is an issue and it's going to cause a problem within that area, the board will, where it's reasonable and proportionate, we will take action and enforce action against people. There's a lot of ditches out there, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on. So we mentioned view green, so we maintain roughly just over 600 kilometres of view green in the Axe Brew. Within the consortium, it's about 1,500 kilometres across the whole consortium, and that's roughly 2% of all water courses within the board's areas. So we've got a lot to cover, a lot to look after, and quite a few people really to do that work. So we have various supervisors that go around managing levels on a daily basis, but they kind of need help. So if you are out and about and you spot something you think should be happening, call the office and then we'll get something checked out.
And for me, I'm sure if you've been around for a while, knowledge is power. So if you know what's in your community, so for example, I walked around here and seen a ditch disappearing into a culvert, and I have no idea where it ends up. Does it go left? Does it go right? Does it go straight on? So in an ideal world, you should have a map of all these flood risk ditches, culverts, all these things, and see where they go. So, as part of potentially, if you need to understand the bigger picture, where does this water go? CCTV surveys of ditches.
So a quick question, given the fact that you said some of the greens are maintained, is there an existing map? I appreciate it may not be accurate, but can we get this is what we know so far, so at least we have a starting point?
If you go online, our mapping is all online. You see all the greens on there, and all the other water courses, unnamed water courses will be there. I can't guarantee the unnamed water courses are still there. We use GIS there. It may not be.
Yeah, it's just that maybe we'll have a blank piece of paper and it's like, it would be great to start with something.
So that is a good starting point.
Yeah.
I think for you, having a piece of paper on the table is always better than looking online. So I would say, let's make you an offer and say, we will print you off an AO map of your parish. In there will be marked up the view greens. Everything else will be ordinary or riparian ditches. So that gives you a baseline. There is also information available from the County Council website, not website, but their mapping tool, which will indicate where their drainage is as well. So we can sort of join bits and pieces together, and then there's a bit in the middle. We don't understand what this does, where it goes. So that's the piece that we need to join up. So if it's blocked, then it ain't going to work. The rest of the system goes through. So I did a piece of work in Northmore from the 13-14 flood, and we looked at some maps from 1880 where there were a lot fewer houses, and the same will be here. And the number of ditches then, compared to now, most of them have disappeared into under houses, or been blocked off completely, or didn't go anywhere. So when it does rain, and it rains a lot in Northmore, it's probably one of the lowest villages in Somerset, and we can't get that water to the pumping stations, and everybody says, well, why is the water hanging around so long? It's because this ditch that used to be here, that used to go to the pumping station, is now filled in. Or somebody's done something. So I think, as I say, it comes back to knowledge power. If you have this information in front of you, then we can bring the community in and say, right, this is what we know. So we know that the view greens are here. I can categorically tell you that there are, as I say, no main rivers. So it's either ordinary watercourses, which are non-view greens, or view greens. It's a pretty simple map. You can then overlay that with the drainage system. So there's lots of information out there. I think it would be hugely beneficial for you as a parish council to have that information to hand, so that when you do get questions, why does it flood here? Well, do you know it goes here? Or do you know this culvert goes right under your house and you're responsible for it? Really? My solicitor didn't tell me that. You should have done. That's part of the conveyancing pack.
what springs to mind is as you pass the Red Cow, sort of reference pubs. That's a good way of doing it.
Opposite my house.
Yeah, so there's a little cottage further down from the Red Cow. The actual green goes underneath there and pops out the side and back in the culvert towards the new section of the West Tanker connection. So it's all very, we've done a quite extensive CCTV survey of this system around here. Must be in 2010, 8, 9, 10, where we did. It's expensive. It was expensive then. It's expensive now. Jetting it, camera. Some of the culverts we couldn't complete the survey on because they were so small, so silted up. But we just had to try and work out where they went. So we have got an idea of where the culverts are and where they go. We got some good information in dimensions on some of the culverts, the key culverts. So it is quite it's quite interesting. We've also got LiDAR as well, which will give you land increments as well, so you can understand whether those spots are in the village. And also we can also give you flow path information as well. So you can understand what's coming off the knoll, where it's going to head to. So if you've got 20 hectares on the knoll, it's going to end up in one little small spot with no relevant obvious pipe, right? Outpour across the road, then that's quite significant, really.
And there are some surface water maps. I won't tell you where they are, but they're posted by the Environment Agency on their .gov.uk website. And you just type in your postcode and it will tell you. So for example, your house, young lady, is right in the middle of surface water flood risk.
My house is raised by 6.
Excellent. This is why I keep saying.
If you go to the pub, mine goes up 1.5 meters, so that's not the well in the garden.
If your houses are higher than normal, and people say, I'm all right, well, actually, I can tell them, okay, well, so when you flush the toilet, where does it go? Or just look outside, your road's lower, you can't get out of the house. You can't get the kids to school, you can't go to the shops. So everybody's impacted. Their house may be dry, but everybody's impacted by flooding. So, and it's understanding that. So, again, all this can come out if there is appetite within the committee. We can put something together where all this information we can host, as I say, half an hour or an hour with members of the community. If you could promote it, just say, come and understand your flood risk here. This is what you can do. These are the maps. You can look at them here, put it in your postcode, you can find it out yourself.
Well, I think as a community, we're all very conscious of this, so
Yeah.
because we've had issues with the church and everything, so
And it's,
it would be received quite well.
you could look at what happened in Ibiza today, yesterday, and it's almost every week we hear of these extreme events. They're admitted they're all big slopes, but actually, where do they end up once it goes through the villages on the side of the pan? It just goes to the flat bits, and you're on the flat bit. So there's my pitch. Hopefully, I haven't bored you to tears. I'm glad Matt came along because he's got the background to it. I'm fairly new to this area, as I say, although I spent a long time with the Environment Agency, but because there was no main rivers here, my involvement was very, very limited. But I have been asked, I am being paid by the Drainage Board, and they have asked me to engage with you further. And if we can bring in some other organisations to come along, I think it will be in your benefit to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Would be useful. The other thing I think Matt, you didn't mention was you also helped us out when we had the flooding a little while ago up Hill Lane, where you took a bit of extra green into view. The bit between Church Lane going down to the.
Just another one.
Just another thing to say thank you for that, because that has made a difference.
Yeah.
So,
And
Colin.
can I just add, again, it's minutiae, but it's probably important. Church Lane, where it comes down to Brent Street, the ring comes across a field, does a right angle bend, under a culvert, down into the graded area.
Yeah.
That probably needs clearing out because last winter that development paid for itself, hand over fist. It just moved the water away. Okay, we cleared it with the debris that had backed up a couple of times, but if that could be cleared ready for the winter, I'd be really grateful.
I'll chase that should be done twice a year.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been done yet.
No.
I will find out why it hasn't.
Okay,
Because
thank
that's the bit, Colin, they've taken into view now, so the drainage board are helping us clear it rather than leaving it to the landowner.
Yeah.
So,
Because we were going down there twice a day when we had that really bad flood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were going down there with pitchforks
so-
and cleaning it out.
you. The water literally flowed through there like a...
Well, we were waist deep in it, weren't we, that night when we were up there trying. We lifted up all the drain covers going uphill lane, but we were holding on to each other because the force of the water was so terrific. But the amount of stones that were coming down off the knoll was blocking the tops of the drain covers, and we were literally with a torch, and we were getting the drain, and as you got the drain cover up, it was going, and then we'd go to the next one, and then eventually it went under the road across the field, and then of course then it backed up at the bottom of the grate, and we were there clearing that in the middle of the night, literally.
So what we've done, we maintain it more frequently, and we can clear that Charleston Road, get the debris lifted up and get it taken downstream.
Yeah, oh, it's certainly caught there, and we just moved it out.
I mean, if you've got any concerns with any of the condition of any of the structures, you just got to give us a call. I mean, I'm not out on the ground all the time. I've got the guys go around. If something needs attention, give us a call and we'll send something very sharp list and just sort it out.
And a last personal request, on Crooked Lane, right at the far end, we put a horse gate up.
Yes.
But the contractor has left it open, and it's been open for months. But the problem is now, because it's been left, the gate won't close. It won't, the hasp, for want of a better, won't go into the slot, it's moved. So I don't know what we're going to do about it, but it just protects that drove from misuse. And your contractor must have opened it to.
I don't know, Colin.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he did or not.
Well, they've got the combinations, we haven't.
It's an alloy lock on there, isn't it? I think.
What?
I think it's an alloy lock. It's a
Silver.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, combination lock.
yeah, I'm a bit disappointed that it's been left open. I mean, unless someone's gone on and broken the lock and opened it up.
No, there's no lock there.
Oh, well, if there's no lock there, someone's gone and ripped the lock off.
If you want to have a look at it.
Yeah, we'll have a look, it's fine.
Yeah,
but
it's only, I know it's a minor thing, but
I'll
it just protects the drove.
okay.
So it's very clear to me that there are a lot of people self-helping here. Now, the SRA has funds to make things available to you. If you come together as a flood group, you can make bids for equipment. So your flashlights, your wellies, sandbags, all those things. You can buy a shed and stick it somewhere. Then on your flood plan will say, who are the vulnerable residents? Who do we need to, when flood warning is issued, who do we need to go? Who has four-wheel drives? Who has this sort of equipment to help the communities out? All these things, these are well developed. That's why I'm saying if you can come along to the 15th, the Somerset Preventative Day, there is so much information out there about how you can help yourselves instead of you going out there with, up here in the water. Let's get some chest waders and life jackets and flashing lights to make you more safe. Equipment, forks, drags, that sort of stuff. All those things are freely available. You just need to come together. And I think from what I've heard tonight, there is appetite for you to help yourselves, and I think the SRA will be only too keen to help you guys.
I'm just like, I would like to see you guys out chest deep in water. I was sooner that you made everything sure it was clear before we had the rain, so it cleared water away. And you don't get all that sort of,
We do actually have a flood plan. We did have a flood plan.
Well,
We had a flood action group. We bought a pump.
Good,
We
you
bought
said.
all the kit.
Yeah.
But it's, I suppose it's like everything else. It was never called upon, so it's got dust on it, I suppose. But we have resolved amongst us that we need to update it.
Yes.
So you've probably hit a nail on the head. That if we do that,
Exactly.
then we have
These events come on so infrequently that you're absolutely right. The ambition that you set out with sort of just goes away. because nothing happens.
Yeah, it doesn't
And
bother
then when
us.
you want the pack and you go fire it up and thinking, oh blimey, don't work, does it? Or all the sandbags have got holes in, or somebody's pinched the spade. Where's the wheelbarrow go? All those things. So it does need to have that sort of that interest, that ambition to keep it going. And we found this on the number of where the ambition is really high when we first set off, but it's keeping that ambition going. So having regular meetings, having interesting people come along and talk about their experiences or new bits of kit. That's the sort of thing that keeps that interest going. That's the most important thing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I just ask one thing? Matt, you might know this. The big grate that we're talking about at the bottom of the church lane, that's one that you've now taken into your
The new shiny one is ours.
the big, but then you know the one further up.
The
That's not the
that's
one
not
much
ours.
higher up. So that's something that we need to
Yeah.
keep our own, because that's the one that was blocking up with stones at the bottom of where my cottage used to be.
Tony's?
Yes, that big one, because that was the one which we had, where we were chest deep, or waist deep up there. Yes, so that's what we need to
I
keep
did-
an eye on there.
I
Not
did pick that up in my report, that it's also in very poor state of repair.
yeah,
The other thing I suggest as well, you know, if the field you mentioned, wouldn't it be good if we could store some of that water that's coming down the hill instead of it getting down to the grade?
yeah.
So
Think that,
you could create a large pond there. There is a small pond there now. With ambition, again, and the landowners consent, we could potentially put some what we call NFM, natural flood management, so the water is diverted into this pond instead of it going straight down. So a number of things that potentially could be done here, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. The culverts are undersized, it goes under the road. The trash drain is, I don't know why it's there, to be honest. Maybe it's because they're fearful of the stones going into the culvert and then becoming blocked, and then it makes it much more difficult to clear that lot out. But I picked up maybe half a dozen things, improvements that could be made.
I mean, I've witnessed it when it was in flood and the water literally is running down, but there's not a lot you can do to stop that's going to happen. All you need to do is make sure that the culvert and the screen is clear. I mean, the screen then is a sort of self-cleaning screen, but it will blind. The idea would be, if there's an issue with it, call the duty firm, and we will endeavour to get someone out. We don't really want members of the public on our structure doing that work, because if any mishap comes to you, then it comes back to us. So we really don't want you on our. I'm not being
Yeah.
we don't really want members of the public on any of our structures, because it could cause us an issue.
Yeah, we'd rather be proactive than reactive anyways.
Yeah. So I mean, I assume you bring me up and say, well, there's lots of debris on the screen. Don't you think it needs to clean? They say, yeah, you're probably right. We'll get someone out to do it. But they should be being checked fairly regularly with the guys. We got apps with the guys. They go around when they're on a structure. They click it. We know where they've been there. We know what they've done. I know time's ticking on, so I'm sort of done really. I mean, it's
Me too. I've talked to them.
Brilliant. Thank
Any
you.
other
Thank you.
questions? That's it.
I'll
Thank
be
you
in
very
touch
much.
with about the
Brilliant.
and if you could see one of you, let's free lunch. Always helps, and tea and cake.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Yeah.
I hope it's not too wet.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Yeah, right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Good luck with the skills.
Yeah, well, I need it.
Okay. Right. Let's move on to item 5 on the agenda, which is planning matters. First one is Sanders. Colin, do you want to introduce this?
Yeah, can you put up drawing that says plan and elevation as proposed, please? Oh, leave that one just for a moment.
Okay.
As you go into
Leave it.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, okay.
As you go into Sanders, they're establishing a car wash facility, and as you look at the garden centre from the main road, it's going to be on the right-hand side on some waste ground where I think staff park, or maybe It's an
Some
overflow
coaches
car
as well, I
park.
think sometimes.
But they're clearly going to, by the look of it, have a dedicated entrance and exit for the car wash. So the proposed plan and elevation, if you look at that one, that's it. I think so. Yeah. What it's showing is that there's an entrance and an exit, if you like. So you'll drive in, go round the, if you like, the rectangle at the bottom there, and then you'll drive out having had your car cleaned. That's what they're proposing. Okay, so it's just an office and a drying area that they're proposing, and how the garden centre arrange it, that's up to them. The environmental health have commented on this, and in particular, they're not saying I don't want it or don't like it, but they're saying more or less if any activity is carried out of this nature in this area, then they want to ensure that water runoff is properly managed. Wastewater shall be discharged into a foul water sewer with permission and appropriate authorisation. And essentially it's designated operating times, Monday to Saturday 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock, Sundays bank holidays 10:30 to 4:30, and they're also saying they want any lighting, if it is open late at night or probably early evening, to be commensurate with the area in which it's sited. And I think those are important conditions, and I would suggest that if there is a proposal to accept this, then we should say that, I don't know if this is right, Bob, that we should say that the environmental health report is taken into active consideration when this is decided. That's my proposal, or that's my introduction.
Isn't water in these premises usually recycled?
It's saying that if you can't get rid of it, then it should be recycled by a proper company.
No, I meant for use within the...
I don't know, I'm not a car wash expert.
I think the key thing is that they would normally be looking for the sort of detergent element to be captured so it doesn't get into the reeds. A bit like, I mean, on the car park when they did that, they had a whole load of traps they had to go into again, stop stuff getting into the reeds and polluting.
Yeah, it's a hand car wash, not a mechanical whizzing brush one. It's a hand car wash. Yeah.
I believe there was one at the cafe originally.
Yes. Down the goat. What was the goat house? What's
Yeah.
Molly's?
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? In which case, Colin, do you want to stand as a proposal, or do you want someone else to propose?
I think, well, I would propose that we support this application with the proviso that the environmental health report is taken into active consideration.
And that's particularly the water capture and the lighting.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favour, please show. That's clearly carried.
The next one is 0725 0025 fell a one number birch tree at Woodlands House, Hill Lane, Brent Knoll. This is on the driveway as you go from Hill Lane up towards the properties. There's a big birch tree that is obviously outlived its existence. I would propose that we support this on the grounds of really good arboreal practice. That's my suggestion.
I'll second that again.
All those in favour, please show.
The last one, 0725, 0026.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I'll be as quick as I can. This concerns Burton Row, Middle Street, and there's a property called Greystones on the corner, and there are three. They're classed as long-body poplars. They're not going to take them out, but they're just going to reduce the height of them. So again, generally we support these on the grounds of good arboreal practice, and I would propose that.
Okay. Please show.
Once we get a man to it.
Mando.
Okay. This to the end of the plan, so we're on to the craft report.
Just two items really. We had to put in the ANPR, you may be aware, and it was a bit of a panic after David rang me late one night saying that the alarm would be going off for about 24 hours and causing problems to people who live there. We didn't know what to do, so I couldn't get hold of Stuart Nichols, unfortunately. So what we did, we agreed, David and I agreed between us to disconnect it, which is what we did. We then subsequently learned that there is a remote control facility to turn it off. The trouble is nobody knew about it. In fact, I didn't even know there was an alarm on it, actually, let alone a remote control. But I believe it's now back up again.
Yes, it is.
Back and operating, and hopefully sending data. That would be the hope. So that's that. And there's also SID damage, which I think we've got later on the agenda actually. We've got a quotation for damage repair by Evolis.
Quick question on the ANPR. So do we now know how to turn off the remote?
No.
So we don't know
I'm
how to turn
hoping,
off our
I'm
remote?
hoping David might know.
Right, okay.
But we will find out, and I'll find out with Stuart, because it might well be that perhaps we can get a few more remotes for it, so there's a couple more people could switch it off, if so be. The SID was damaged as well, that's got to be repaired. We had some there now, so we'll come back to it later on. So, that's it basically on the. There was one other thing. We won an award, Somerset Playing Field Association awards event. Two of our members were going, or at least the last meeting agreed they would go, and unfortunately didn't. So unfortunately it was quite obvious that we weren't represented here because we won Children's Best Play Facility Award.
That's a bit embarrassing.
And it's very difficult, isn't it? Because I guess you could argue, or maybe I should send a reminder out the week before. But to be honest with you, did agree on the meeting, and so I just raised that. I mentioned any names, of course. But,
the reason it was raised at the last meeting was we were aware that we won something. We thought it might have been a highly commended. They do various. It turned out we were the top one who actually won it. So you may have seen there were pictures on C.com of all these happy parishes receiving their awards. But on the night it was announced, apparently we won it, and there was no one there to say we're collecting this on behalf of. So we do just need to make sure if we commit to something that we. Or if you can't maybe let someone else know.
Yeah.
So I think you should take that up privately with the members concerned.
Yes.
Yeah.
Will do.
okay, that's all I've got to say on
Okay, nothing correspondence?
No, nothing on correspondence actually.
Surgery?
That's new, that hasn't gone already. I've just got a few notes on surgery actually, I wasn't able to find it. We had a few visitors yesterday in the surgery. We had the usual people who are very keen on the SID and speeding mitigation side of things. And I think I've got here, there are a few items, mostly of a lot of speed related mitigation, and things that we've had raised before. Some of the things that are already in hand and we're already doing, Somerset doing, and others not so much. I mean, there are limitations on what you can expect the county to do these days. I mean, you know, sometimes people think that you just sort of you just get hold of the county and you have a problem and you just get them out tomorrow. You know, it doesn't quite work like that. Not in this environment anyway. We also had another resident who wanted to talk to us about a grant for a tree matter in the churchyard. And although it's not on our agenda, I did say we put it on the agenda next time, because in fact we look at grants in November anyway. This is for the church, grant for the church. So we can consider that as grants in a normal way. Just trying to think, we didn't have a bit of engagement yesterday. I think mostly ongoing issues really. Nothing particularly new came out of it.
One other person came and mentioned the milepost at the end of Brent Street,
Oh, yes,
up Boxing News, and I noticed today they have started work on the refurbishment of that, so that's underway and will be on the agenda for next time. So we might have a bit of that in.
Yes.
So as you remember, we had some donations that were promised to pay for that, so we'll contribute towards it. Okay. Working group reports. Anything from, well, we all have shared the project.
I think the last one down at the end of August, actually. I haven't updated it for September, but I don't think there's anything else to add to it. I mean, I do take things off it as things get dealt with. I remove them. I don't try and keep it running indefinitely. So the only one's footpaths.
Okay, anything from the footpaths team?
Just one thing. I wanted to see if we could, I think I mentioned it before about getting a large scale map to put where the Knoll footpath, on the building at the bottom of the Diamonds driveway, that map is very fuzzy.
Right.
And I've been asked loads of times by people when I'm up there, about.
Where's that one? I know the one at the top of Hill Lane. Where's that?
Yeah, there's one on the
Yeah.
building. It's quite fuzzy
It's
and
really
it's
bad.
not very clear as to where it goes. And I've had, normally I'm up there doing the shit or walking the dogs or whatever, and then people have stopped me on a couple of occasions. And I thought, well, I think we've mentioned it before, didn't we? Said about getting something that's big and clear.
Took us away A3 size, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I reckon, because the thing is, it's not really obvious when you're there which way to go. So it kind of needs to be
If you're not familiar, it also doesn't say where you are.
No, exactly. Right. So yeah, it needs to be in.
Yeah.
Colin.
I think this is a thing that John Harper and I did years ago, put a new map up there. So it's still the same, it's been up there years. Really, what probably is the best thing is to have some form of laminated thing which will be weatherproof and it can be clean. And it doesn't have to be a map, it could be a simple, if someone could sketch it out.
A simple diagram, yes.
Which would probably be far clearer. You are here, this is the path that follow.
At least if it goes that way, and maybe where it goes, where Windy Ridge, it's obvious that it goes that way or that way.
Yeah, that would be far
If
better.
we removed it, can we then get somewhere like Area and Signs to redo it, or would it need an enlargement of an existing map?
It needs to be redone. It's not in a
Is it
condition.
not in a condition for reprinting?
It's very
Oh, no,
confusing,
It's-
isn't it?
no.
I mean, even with a microscope, you
It's
don't
very
want to.
ordnance survey kind of map. So
Yes,
for
Yes,
layman,
it's too
in a
complicated.
layman, it's like,
Yeah.
I just want to know I need to go left
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
up the green.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So there's
I think
nothing
even
out
even like Colin said, we could do. I don't know if we can get something on sketch it out. Or,
I mean, if you could let me have at least an idea of the source of it, then I'll we can get it done.
something in here.
And get it laminated, as Colin suggested.
I'll have a quick go and see what AI can do, because a lot of these AI systems now, you can plug stuff in and it'll do a lot for you and see if there's anything. So I'll have a quick investigation on that.
Okay. Anything else footpath wise?
Sorry.
Right.
I know I walk it most days, but the path from the back of the bakers, which is now it was owned by the Mr. and Mrs. Allsop. If it's not cleared this year, it will definitely need doing next year. It is. The problem is it needs at ground level doing, and because he's put a new fence there, I'm not quite sure whether his tractor or whatever he's got will clear that out, but it does need doing. Not all of it, but most of it needs clearing.
Yeah, because the water have done theirs, haven't they? I think we said this at the last meeting
So
actually.
the council happy we write to the Allsops and ask them if they can
Yeah.
clear that before we want.
It would be nice if it could be done.
Yeah. Okay. Malcolm, anything on highways?
I've not had anything reported to me. I don't know whether you have, Jane.
Pleased to say that the workmen have been down Middle Street and they have re-tarmacked, patched up, on the little dips and curves that I've mentioned, so that's done.
Does the jurisdiction cover Burnham Moor Road, the junction?
You're talking about on the way to Highbridge?
Yes.
Technically not under our parish, but what's the issue?
The sign to Watchfield is laying in there, it's not supported.
Alright, I'll have a look at that. Right. Okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else on highways? There was one thing that got raised at surgery, just thinking about it, was apparently there's a bit of a, where the stationary railway bridges, we reported last time that they'd sunk either side.
Yeah.
Apparently the side of the road has started breaking away on this side of it, so
Yeah.
we'll report that back to highways as well.
Yeah. I'm sorry, they still haven't done Corner Station Road.
By the side farm.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
It's still
yeah.
falling away.
I mean, it's all it's still not.
Yeah.
You give it a date.
2029,
Well, it seems to be.
Okay. Jonathan, this is great.
It's me.
Yeah.
Oh, Colin, sorry.
It's
Okay.
me because I didn't do it, so I said I'd do it. Yeah.
So Colin and Jonathan don't have children, what sound of
Yeah.
it?
Have you done it?
Yeah.
Well,
I've done it.
have mine then.
Jonathan sent a copy anyway. For the
Okay.
Oh, okay, we'll see if yours. Well, overall, the village green was in good condition for the time of year, given the very
Right after
warm
Jonathan.
summer. There is some patching resulted from the work carried out by National Grid, but I hope that'll clear. There was a little rubbish in the far left-hand corner where the bench is. I wonder whether we may consider putting a bin up there, because I did clear it up, but you know, you're a long way from a bin if you're up there on the, especially on the zip wire and stuff. There's one wooden bench that we've got, and the slats, two of the slats on the top are totally loose and need refixing. There's a screw popping up which could also be a hazard for young children on there, so it could do with sorting out. Perhaps consider upgrading, because the other benches, the environmentally friendly benches, were all in good nick. Overall, the toilets were in very good condition, but the car park, perhaps we could consider some new white lines at some stage, just to tidy it up. Other than that, I thought everything was, you know, the toilets were immaculate, well done. Whoever does that.
On the white lines, last time we had them done, which was about 2012, I think it was, I had a call from Somerset Council to say that they got some spare pigment, and have we got anything that needed doing? And they came along and they charged us a nominal fee, 130 quid I think it was, to do all the white lines. But of course, I don't know that, you know, they need to be aware of the fact that we're looking for that to be done. So I think I will write to somebody there, say if you do get any spare stuff, bring it down to Brent Knoll, or up to Brent Knoll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed some litter on the on the mugger tonight. Kids have dropped litter there.
It's awful, yeah, I was there on Sunday, it's horrendous.
That's good.
15 bottles all over,
Yeah.
over the green.
Well, I cleared two and I had my phone over.
Could I ask when the cycle rack is going up?
It's a good question.
And where?
That's what I was just about to say in terms of the white light. We need to chase up because we got the estimate from Paul.
Yeah.
He obviously did the benches. He hasn't done the cycle racks yet, so
No.
I will chase him on that.
Yeah. And also, could I just mention the play area, the report from the people who check the play area. That's the one, thank you. It's starting to crack the tarmac where the seesaw was put. The new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they've turned around and indicated that we need to be addressing
Yeah, it's
that.
quite,
So.
yeah, quite noticeable. Yeah, the seesaw surface.
Well, it's the old service that was there for the old equipment, so they've
It's
got
not
new
it's
stuff
not new
in.
services. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
legacy stuff.
but I mean,
We-
the other one, the
Owen's-
whirly one is
Yeah.
that.
Owen is chasing at the moment. What are you around about?
No, not the whirly one, no, sorry. The one that they mentioned.
Okay. So Owen has been chasing GB because we were hoping to have a quote for tonight in terms of the safer surface because they said they were going to give us a quote in terms of what it would be to completely replace or what it would be to, in effect, what they did on once before, which was cut out and
Yeah.
fill. We haven't had that information yet, so we will chase that definitely for the next meeting because we need to get that sorted.
There's a significant cost, I think.
Can I ask, we seem to have problems with that all of the time.
Yeah.
Could we consider a different sort of surface? We had kind of the wood chippy, what you see in other play parks.
The wood chipping will have to be
It will have to be,
replaced.
yeah,
I
it will be
hope.
replaced, but
It's different though, isn't it?
Yeah, to be honest, the reason we ended up going for the one we did was because we looked at the wood chip in the past. And one of the problems with wood chip is people can put stuff in the wood chip, like broken glass and all that sort of stuff. And then so someone's got to be responsible for regularly going up there and making sure it's
checking
clear.
it, right, okay.
I think it would be fair to say from the comments we had when they replaced the safer surface under the roundabout, the contractors we had do it this time weren't overly impressed at the standard of what we had there last time round. So I think that's part of the reason why it's cracking up as bad as it is, because there wasn't the depth and the quality of the chrome or whatever it is.
Yeah, the ones that are looking rough now are what's left from the old contractors.
Yes.
So hopefully the new stuff, which is obviously done properly, would be.
But we're talking thousands on this, we're not talking a few hundreds.
Yeah.
So we will get that quote, we must chase that for the next meeting. The other thing, Colin, you mentioned the bench, and it was also mentioned by Jonathan as well. I mean, that was an old wooden bench. Having looked at where the slats have come off, the wood that you'd be screwing it into is rotting as well. So I think your idea is to get shot and then let's get another replacement. So we can start looking at it. We can get a quote for that as well. But I will have a word with someone to see if we can get it off the green fairly quickly. Okay. Hill Lane car park, is there anything on that anyone's got to report? No. Okay. Audit.
Before you do that, who's doing the road for next month?
Andy.
Andy.
And it's been sent the template to do it, so should be all right. Hopefully, keep fingers crossed.
Audit and staffing, shop liaison.
I think
Okay. Shop liaison hasn't happened. Flood action group, we obviously had the presentation tonight from the two gentlemen who came. Is there anyone who can make potentially this meeting that they were
15th of October.
What day of the week is it?
It's a
15th of
Wednesday.
October.
It's a
Sunset
Wednesday.
Prepared, it's called.
I'll try and make it. He didn't say what time it was today.
I use every time, because I imagine it's a sort of 10 o'clock type of start.
I'll have
I imagine.
to take.
I'll find out a bit more about it and find out that time.
Because I think it's quite
I
important.
can't do that, I'm sorry. I would like to have done, but I would suggest actually, have you got the flood file?
Yes, because
Can I have
originally,
it back and I'll...
well, no, because David and I had started revamping it.
Well,
You see, that's
you've
why-
had it for...
I think in a
Yeah,
way,
it is.
if it might, I mean, obviously, David's been leading on it, but has been very tied up. I just wonder if Amanda, if you're happy to take up
I'm happy
and
to
work
work
with
with
Amanda,
Amanda.
absolutely.
Because
And
David
David can
was.
be part of it, but
Yeah.
I think we just need someone who's going to drive it forward because particularly with this idea of them coming to get out and doing the survey, we know for a fact we've got a problem behind the hall and the side of the green, because we don't know where the water isn't going anywhere, and that needs to be resolved amongst the other things that they say that they're going to survey, so that would fit into that, but we need to be pushing it, and at the moment we're not. So if I'm happy then in effect we say that sort of Amanda and Colin lead on that with David, but I think we just need to push it, and if Amanda can do the meeting, Charlie.
I can't attend the meeting, but I would say, just going back to the presentation we had earlier, I think I was very impressed with those guys, and I think if we could get some kind of map, it would be a great to present, you know, like we did when we did the shop, actually have a presentation, because I think most people would be interested in the village to know, one, they're liable for things, but they probably don't realise, and two, where the water is running, and especially if we can do it over the winter period, because it's like, you know what, we might have a mild winter, but we might not.
It's like Colin just said about this file that was put together. Well, David started going through it to update it, because all of it's very outdated and whatever. So the plan was to try and coordinate people in different parts of the village to be able to ring them. So when there is a problem, so we've got sandbags, we've got signage, we're able to shut the road if needs be. We know where, like you said, where everything goes.
If David's done that and Amanda,
No, I think Colin, to be honest, it's got so far, but it hasn't
progressed.
No, so hasn't. If you can, if you're prepared to be on that route still, but I think just with Amanda and yourself pushing it rather than, David needs that. I don't think with the work he's doing, he's got the time to drive it, and we need people who are prepared to actually push it forward now.
We need a couple of people, Colin, to push this forward, and like Charlie said, to get like a presentation, ideally we'd get everyone in the hall, we'd put it at the BKN and say, right, this is the day, anyone interested parties come, and then we could work it all out, Colin, and have a thing if you're happy to do that.
By the sounds of it, post that happening, that's when they're then going to come out and help us actually go around and survey the gaps.
And then we can apply for this equipment and update everything
that push
that we've got. It does.
Paul, Community Information Officer as well.
Yes.
So I'm trying to represent.
Well, I think he was going to send us some stuff on him, so you should be
Should
getting
come
something.
through.
And just to say, he did just do change up the fact that he did promise us an A0 copy size.
Yes,
That's
he did,
a big old map.
That would be really good. And like I said, we have a presentation, we put it up on the page, say to people, this is, and like you said, make sure people know they're responsible for. On that subject, do we know if David did anything about ordering? Because he was ordering some signs. Do you know that he didn't? We haven't heard anything about that, no. Because there were some signs that we were supposed to get for, so we could shut the road.
So maybe you and Colin do a review of where you've got to.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So everyone happy with on that basis? All right.
Just later under the.
Okay. IT working group.
Yeah, I can remember that. So we met with a couple of folks with regards to redoing the website. There was some legislation that we need to change our email addresses to gov email addresses. We also need to be compliant on our website. And I think they did a test, and our website is 80% compliant, but that for people with disabilities, they can't read properly. So that does need to happen very, very soon. We've spoken to a couple of folks, seen a couple of websites. Do want to encourage members. I think Owen has already sent it out of the Aubergine site. So if you can have a look at that, because they're one of the groups that were interested in having the site redone for us. And this is to do both the parish council website as well as the village side of it. In addition to that, Owen is going to buy himself a new laptop, or he's going to buy it.
It's still going at the moment.
He's going to buy this laptop.
Hanging on.
Jonathan and I are having a look at costs for Office, whether it needs to be just Office or Office 365, to see how to do that, because either it's a monthly charge or a one-off charge. We've also agreed that we need to review the passwords that are being used on the laptop. So when Colin wins the lottery, we have the passwords to his laptop.
Which is nice on the proverbial bus.
So that's moving forward. One thing we did want to ask you to review the Aubergine website. Also, Aubergine wrote the Curry Rival website. So if you want to see one closer to home, so what they've done is worth doing. in?
I spoke to Curry rival clerk Elaine, and I asked her because I was given a number of parish councils, and that was quite new to me, so I spoke to her. She was glowing about this particular company, Aubergine. She had it theirs 2 years ago. They were very, very helpful. They did a brilliant job in moving it from an old website to the new website. They had very few problems, and when they did have a problem, they were there to be answering questions. So I think it seems that there's about 2 or 3 people out there that specialising in parish councils. These seem to have a very good reputation. And the guy I spoke to earlier in the week was a really decent guy. He seemed to really know what he was doing. And you really need someone like that, because there's an awful lot of shysters out there. On my emails, I probably get about 10 a week of people offering to do that website for us.
Can you want us to actually look at
Yeah, just have a look and see how
Can you send out
I'll send you a link.
in email with a link?
Yeah, and you can have a look at it and see what you think.
Okay.
Because what they had done is typical of what Aubergine do. So, okay, you can tweak it and have different things, and you can perhaps organise it differently, but that is typical of the standard that Aubergine actually work with.
Can I just check, when we come to make a decision, have we got comparative quotes that we've at least got more than one in terms of?
Yes, I've got three, sort of almost 3 actually. Easy Website's the one that we did on Teams, and there's another one called Parish Websites, who appear to be a lot dearer. They seem to be about £900 for the same thing. But and again, I can give you a website that they've done, not a million miles from here, Wraxall and Phelan. Their website's been done by the other one, it's dearer, Parish Websites.
Can you send out both of them?
I'll send a link to both of them. Have a look at both of them, because you might like the one more than the other, and you might think, well, actually, that might be a bit more expensive, but actually I prefer the layout of it.
So I'm meeting with, hopefully meeting with Mark from Aubergine this week or next week to just go through some of the requirements that we're looking for managing it going first. I think what we'd be looking at the November meeting is for the members to approve the funding going forward, just because we need to get this done.
In a sense of urgency because of the decision power.
Yeah.
Decision.
No, it's the cost dependent on your requirements.
No, they're one-off costs to transfer the information across.
What's that?
So if you think about what's on our website today, so things like who we are, the information that's on the village, so basically lifting it from one system to another, and then there's also setting it up with all our email addresses. So it's basically the effect of turning off the old one and turning on the new one, so there's the cost of transferring that. And I think the cheapest one...
There's about Aubergine was about 500 quid.
That seems reasonable.
To do the whole thing. And when you think we pay quite a lot of money to Decision Power now to sort of manage this. Now, there are ongoing costs of keeping the site going, but what it can do is that it will allow me to actually add to the site. So when I want to put minutes or genders or any council information, or anything else for that matter, I can actually go on and do it myself. I don't have to rely on Deb's Decision Power, who won't be there anyway.
It'll just be an annual software maintenance cost, which is hopefully
it'll be more convenient and user friendly.
Yeah, exactly. What I'm not sure about, and maybe you asked the question, is there are extra charges if we go for above the sort of what they call their standards.
Yeah.
What the charges would be for that, because as Bob rightly points out, we've got the village calendar, which is really good, but how does that work on the new?
Well, I'll go through it with him, like we did very much with James from
easy websites, okay. But there is some of the websites now because of the loss of the other one.
Okay. Excellent. Somerset report. So just a couple of things, just to let you know, you may have seen in the press there's been some discussion about Somerset have now engaged a company called Newton Europe to help them work out some of the savings to restructuring the council. They've got to find about £100 million savings for next year. The contract with Newton over a number of years is approximately £20 million up to help
save 20
I
million.
know. So that's moving forward. It's also, at one of the scrutiny meetings, it was questioned about how many agency staff have been employed since the financial emergency was announced in 2023. £33.6 million has been spent on consultants and agency staff in that period. In terms of the planning service recovery plan, that's due to come. You remember they've done a 12-week, basically councillors and parishes can't talk to planning officers. That comes to an end at the 23rd of October, at which point we should be getting a report as to whether it's had the impact it was hoped. Basically, the hope was if officers aren't talking to parishes and members, they might actually get more planning applications dealt with. We'll see whether that's actually happened or not, but that is going to be reviewed, and whether those restrictions are potentially kept in place or gone back. So we will see. Again, one of the things you might have seen, and it's very certainly a couple of questions in the village that I've had from people, which was that it's been reported that the council has spent just over £3 million, or else it's spending just over £3 million buying properties to house people in. And the question was, if you've got a financial crisis, how are you spending that? The reason why that is possible is because there is a housing revenue account which comes from the rents that people pay to the council. That budget is completely separate from the council's budget. It can only be spent on housing related issues. And so what the council is actually doing is they're slightly finessing the situation, but they're buying the properties. They will be used to house people who are homeless at the moment, which normally you wouldn't house in council properties. They would be out for people to rent through the normal process. But after that has been addressed, they will be going back into the pool for rental properties. Currently, we pay exorbitant fees for housing people who are homeless in terms of B&B. So that will actually save the revenue account money through not having to pay that. So it does actually make some sense on that one. There's still a consultation going on about the Sunday parking charges. That's due to complete on the 20th of October, at which point it'll then go to the executive in December for them to decide whether they are going to put Sunday charges on all the car parks across Somerset. And I think probably that's enough spreading of joy for today. But happy to take any questions if there are any. Okay. Financial report. Hopefully a little bit happier one from the parish council.
Well, first of all, we've got the statutory payments. These are the ones that we approved earlier in the year, in March, and in this case was on minute number 241/30/23. And this is for our regular payments that we make, contracts, GB Sports, clerks, and so forth. So I just need an approval. There's no change to that. It's important to say that because it should be brought back before you again if there are any changes to it. And there are no changes at the moment, so as you're aware.
Yes,
I mention that because under the audit next year, there's going to be a lot of change in the external audit. And one of the questions I'm going to ask is just this question on statutory payments: are the council regularly being updated on changes? And you have to tick the box to say yes, we are. So that's why I'm mentioning it now in preparation.
I'll go through this.
Thank you. Colin, seconded. All those in favour? Unanimous.
There is no variable payments apart from one that's not on the agenda, which is Steve Penn's work. Colin was overseeing, and this is for the work that Steve was doing on the handrails predominantly, and also styling in the gate. Do you want to say anything about that, Amanda? Because obviously it's finished now. Or Colin, do you want to just mention?
He's put the new gate on the corner of Bakersfield, and he's rejigged the stile going across the field, the back of the linens, and he's reinforced the handrail on the lower path up behind the church, and the work has been done very well and in accordance with our requirements. I endorse the fact that the guy's done the work properly and should be paid.
Let me just tell you about the invoice he supplied is exactly the same and mirrors the quote that we received, which is installation of gates. Somerset Council supply gates, SPCS to supply post and concrete rails. So that was the first part of it. Repair and replacement of handrail using hardwood posts for longevity and all waste removed from the site. And that was £1,720 including VAT, which obviously we will recover.
So just to confirm that the bit where he says replacement of gates, it's not now, it's replacement of a gate and repair of the style.
Yes.
Yeah, he did, there was quite a lot of repairing to the style that he did.
So, although it's not on the agenda, so technically we're actually being, we should leave it to November because it was found in the span, unfortunately. So I wasn't aware of it.
Can we bring it forward?
But we can bring it. We might, I think, because it's a local contractor. We are encouraged always not to keep contractors waiting longer than a reasonable period.
And we're aware of the
And we're aware of the
I
quote.
would
So
support-
my advice would be to go ahead.
Can you just confirm again, it's how much plus that?
It's £1,720 including VAT.
Was that quote though for 2 gates initially?
Yes.
But now
It's
it wasn't 2
repaired.
gates, it's a gate and a stile.
So shouldn't it be cheaper?
Well, the style should have been a bit cheaper, I'd have thought, because I had a look at it. It's only I say only, it wouldn't be as much work as the installation of the gate. So did he quote for the repair of the stile? He just quoted for 2 gates.
I've only got, all I've got is the original quote plus the invoice, which mirrors it. I did say send it on.
What
I just
portion of it is
took
the
the
gates and what
Well,
portion is the
it's
gates?
370 odd, and then the other is 1,000, so plus
So
VAT.
I'm going to propose we find out more information on this because there's difference in.
I just think we need to be a bit careful because in case anyone queries it, that's all.
Well, I sent that thing I sent to you, Bob, which what Steve Pinn replied to, didn't he? And gave me exactly what he had done, because I asked him the question. I sent him an email when I asked him if he could just clarify what he actually did. He came back and said, one was swapped to a star repair at the bottom of the Knoll path near the church. And I believe it was decided to do this at a meeting. The second was on a path to waterworks beyond car park. That's what he's come back and told me he's actually done. On Rome, a gate was installed at issue 83122 and star repair stars 10761. I tried to be as accurate as I can with issue numbers, but working from my phone on holiday. So,
I mean, if we're trying to be fair to him, but also make sure that we get it right. We've got no dispute in terms of the bigger part of the contract, which is the handrail. Would it be reasonable to pay the handrail bit and then say to him, could you just clarify, is he in effect what he's saying is that the star repair cost exactly the same as he was planning to do a gate?
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be.
He did say he was doing this on his phone, so maybe he's not taking that
Yes.
into consideration.
Yeah, because he obviously didn't quote to repair the
Yeah.
style, so we don't. Yeah.
So we're meant to be happy that we, as I say, we pay the bigger part of the invoice, which is the handrail,
Yeah.
and go back, because otherwise, we're technically, as I said, we're stretching it slightly by having it in this meeting rather than delaying it for months. So we're still helping him out by doing the
Yeah,
bigger bit,
sure.
and then just getting to clarify the breakdown
I'd
between
be
the
happy
gate.
to propose that we pay the handrail element of it and go back to the clarification that the
Yeah.
costs are the same.
Yeah,
Does
that
seem-
seems a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so is that proposed second? Yes. Jonathan, all those in favour if we do that show? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay, so that's carried by majority. Okay. No other financial stuff.
No, there's no other. Don't think there's anything else on the financial thing. The payments list I sent you out. I can change, do this differently in future. Again, this is another item that's come up on the audit changes for next year, is whether council should receive a copy of the payments that have been made for the previous months. Now, the easiest way for me to do that, frankly, is just send you a scribe report for the previous month. Now this particular one I did on a spreadsheet. But the Scribe report does that job. And frankly, I think we ought to use Scribe more than we do, because all the information's there. So what I would do in the future, I'll send you a Scribe report just for the previous month, which will show all the payments that are taken out. It's belt and braces in a way, because when you think about it, you're actually agreeing a payment of one month, and you're assuming that happens the following month. So what this is a sort of belt and braces double check that what goes out has been approved. So that's what I'll do in future to make it easier. Okay.
Could I ask maybe if you do that for next time, but at the next meeting, if you can just talk us through the Scribe report, just so everyone understands.
Yes. I mean, it's a fairly well laid out document. Although, like all software, you've got to pick out the best bits, the bits that make the reading a bit easier. The other thing I also did was send the monthly budget update. If anybody's got any questions on that. Obviously, coming to next month's meeting, we'll be discussing budget for next year, ready for precept discussions. So, of course, that forecasting element is going to be very important to take us up to the end of October.
So does that mean we need an audit and start
We will
meeting
that
before
next
that
meeting.
Next meeting.
So we can talk that through.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
So
quite an important one actually.
Are you around, Colin, during the next month?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. That's all I'm fine.
And then we've got contract tender timetable.
Contract? No, that shouldn't be on there actually. That's a previous item. We just haven't come off the template.
Okay.
Because we had the timetable and we hopefully adhere to it.
Right. Which takes us then to matters of consideration. Damage to SID batteries quotes and ANPR alarm.
Yeah, I mean, I had that. Well, I had the quote from Elonis, which looked to be about £600. But when I read it again the second time, it seemed a bit more confusing than that, because they were charging, it appears they wanted to get it back, and there was a cost to send it back, and including the carriage and postage and everything else. And then they were going to do an estimate of it, and then come back with a sort of formal quote of what it was going to cost. So you've got a cost of about a couple of £100 to get it back to them, and then of course you don't know what it's going to cost to do the repair. But the alternative to that is well, there is no alternative, because they're the only people who can repair it. So my suggestion would be that we agree to send it back to them and get it assessed, ready for repair and up to a new standard. That would be my suggestion, which is Nichols' idea as well. Stuart Nichols would be saying the same thing.
Whereabouts is the company?
I'm not sure whether they're UK based. I mean, they're here somewhere. They actually got French. There's a French connection there somewhere, but where we would be sending it is UK.
I wondered whether it would be more economical for somebody to convey it themselves.
Maybe. Yes, absolutely. I'll find out a bit more from the bonus. Exactly. How they best think it's best to proceed on it, because there's clearly some quite serious damage on it, I guess. I haven't seen it, but Stuart Nichols seems to think there's quite a lot of damage on it. And of course it needs to be reset. Once it's repaired, the whole thing needs to be recalibrated, because when you damage a SID, apparently, it throws out some of the data capabilities, and obviously we can't run that risk.
Have we got an insurance for that?
We have, but we've got a £1,000 excess on it.
Okay.
So what you were asking yesterday, it's £1,000 excess on your insurance. It wouldn't be worth it, because what it would do would push up the insurance next year then.
Yeah.
But I'll have a look at it and send you an email back again once I've found out a bit more about it. Actually,
I just if I pass that around, that's a photograph of scent of the SID. So someone's hit it, and basically the whole frontage is being pulled off. So
I don't suppose it recorded who it was.
no, this one unfortunately doesn't
It's
take
not the one
pictures.
that's.
So
I wonder if somebody knew that. It seems a bit.
Where was it at the time? Which location?
Do we know?
So Sorry?
It was Burton Road.
Burton Road.
Somewhere in Burton Road.
I think it was near Pink Cottage.
It was that. It was that.
It was one of those speeding tracks.
Yeah.
But it's quite
I'm
like
It
saying-
was, it's the height. No, it's quite a lorry or something maybe. That's quite high, isn't it?
We're talking about harvest, so all the,
So,
Could be a lawyer, could be a lorry.
so our members happy then that we commit to the £200 worth of sending it back and having it assessed, and then
Yeah, well, we're gonna have to, aren't we?
Yeah.
the other part, were they talking about £400 a sum?
Yeah, it was to do with a repair to a certain standard, because until they know what that repair involves, it's very hard to give them a specific quote. What I'm going to do is ask Stuart, because Stuart's got it apparently. He will obviously send it off. I think they provide packaging for it. Because obviously, you don't just stick a still in a box, do you? I mean, I suppose you've got to package it up properly. I've no idea, it's not something that I'm very familiar with.
Trying to avoid having ongoing delay, because obviously if we have to wait until next month
Yeah.
to decide whether we're going, can we agree up to a sum that we would proceed with?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, my view would probably be in total about £600 by the time we're done sending back and the repair, and it might be a bit more than that, might be a bit less, but that's what
Our members have to agree that if up to £600 we get it done, if it's more than that, then it's got to come back to us for a further discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favour, please show. That's
Okay.
okay.
And all the other thing is batteries. I've got a quote I did have a quote from them for new batteries as well for it.
Because also,
do you know?
Owen has spoken to Stuart, who spoke to Ebolis, and he was told in effect that he can get them cheaper through Ebolis than he can if he gives us the spec and we go and buy them.
Okay.
So he looked into that.
That'd be my question.
Yeah.
And I know you're going to ask, how much are the batteries?
Well, no, they're probably about £100.
It's around about 135, I think, for the batteries. I mean, everything's expensive on these things. None of it's cheap. It's a bit like play equipment, really, isn't it? Everything's expensive.
So in terms of the resolution we passed last time, have we authorised buying the replacement batteries yet?
No, I haven't authorised it, no.
Could our members happy that we go ahead and do that? Because we've still got one SID that's operational, so, and how many are we talking about? Colin, is it 2 per unit?
2.
Yeah.
So we would need probably 4. Our members happy that we can go ahead and buy 4.
they're at £100, circa 100.
Yeah, I think the quote they gave me was for what I asked them for. I'm just trying to find it actually, the actual quote from them. But I will double check that tomorrow. I'm not sure I've got the right figures on that. It was round about that sort of mark, 135 quid.
Yeah. Just going back to the SID, just as an aside, if they assess our unit and it's going to cost, say, £1,000 to do, would they sort of, if you like, take the old one back as spares and trade that in against an upgraded new one? That may be for our consideration as well.
Okay.
We also need to consider if it is an exceptionally high cost, you may have to use the insurance.
Well, maybe, yeah.
Okay, so my understanding, so we've agreed up to 600 quid if it just gets done.
Yes.
And then we're saying in effect up to about 550 quid's worth of batteries.
Yes.
Again, if Owen finds it's a lot more than that, we'll circulate an email on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
Okay. Heading quotes.
Sorry.
The next one I've got here after batteries just has quotes.
Well, it's quotes for the repair.
Oh, okay, fine. That's that one. AMPR alarm, Owen mentioned earlier. So that was the remote. Shop issues and reporting from recent meeting with builder.
This was the meeting that you had and Amanda met up with Ashley about that flooding issue in front of the shop. Or water issue, or the flooding.
Tell me what happened.
We met with Ashley and Paul Martin and had a look at the problem, which was lifting of the mat inside the door, which the shop were concerned that it was water coming in from the outside to the heavy rainfall and so on and so forth. But then Paul then tested it with his moisture meter, and it was soon found that as you look at the doors, the left-hand door was not producing any moisture reading, and the right-hand door, as you look at it from the outside, was producing a moisture reading. So when he lifted it up, him and Ashley then tested the channels inside the door, there are small gaps which are designed to take excess water, and they were working fine, and that was flowing into the drain. Then we all went inside with the doors shut, and Ashley blasted the doors with water to simulate heavy rainfall or worse, and it still wasn't coming in, and the great drain was adequately taking it away, and therefore we tested the moisture, and it was no more than it had been before. So we deduced that the water was not coming in from the outside, but what was happening was it was probably being taken in on people's shoes, because it was the door that opens that people used to go into the shop, or that possibly rain was falling and coming in from the door as it was in times of heavy rainfall. But what they actually decided was that it was probably the mat that was at fault, because something was going on where the mat was trapping the water underneath it, and the strips that they removed, obviously, and of course a bit of a trip hazard, were because there was an issue with the mat and the underneath of the mat. So the consensus was that there was no fault with the building work or the door or the drainage system. I think that was it, wasn't it?
Paul said, I presume he said it, Paul said he was going to send a letter because the shop asked if Paul could send them a letter basically saying, we've looked at it, we don't think it's our problem, so they could pass that on to Macdro, who were the people who supplied the mat, because apparently the mat supplier had originally said it's not our problem, it's a building problem. So it was, could we give them something which said, actually it is the mat problem. So hopefully that's underway with...
Yes, because they also said, didn't they, that Matra had actually advised that mat was the thing for the job and was designed to take wet feet and so on and so forth. So
the problem with that door, as we can attest, is it does stay open for a while, because it's so if it is pouring with rain, the door is open for 30 seconds a minute, it is going to get a lot more water in than a normal door that had just shut automatically behind you.
Yeah, and we knew it wasn't coming from anywhere else, because it said as you look at the doors, the left-hand door didn't record any moisture on the tester at all, so we knew it wasn't coming from anywhere there, it was just specifically that doorway.
Also, when we were there, I mean, Red and Lucy were there from the shop, and I think Red mentioned there was some talk about potentially looking at an awning, and he spoke to the architect, who again said it may well need planning, but obviously Red said he would go away, talk to the committee and come up with proposals, and then have to assess whether those proposals require planning or not. And obviously they'll need to come back to us as the landlord as well to say, are we happy for that to happen? But that was the thought, if you put an awning over that might well be enough to stop the water from dropping. But it was a positive, I mean, it was a positive meeting, I think.
It was, because we got to the bottom of the problem, basically.
Okay. Dropbox community shop.
We haven't had it, it's only if requested, and it hasn't been requested.
I think the shop are looking into further details on that now to come back to us.
If it relates to school and lighting, I thought we covered this.
That was last month.
We covered it last time. Flower boxes, that's the next one. The flower boxes, Burton Road. This has all been completed. Age has done it all, actually, apparently.
Has A passed on to you any invoices?
No, it hasn't passed any invoices. No.
Okay, you can maybe chase them up on that.
Yes.
We'll need to make sure.
Yes.
Flood deviation project. So the only update on that at the moment, I heard back from Zara, who was the lady who's taken over from Hugo, to say that she has submitted the application to the Somerset Rivers Authority for grant funding for the works up on the hill. That's the works on Richard Roberts' land. It's been in for a month. She said it normally takes a couple of months for an answer to come back. For the bulk of the works on his land, that will be 100% funding. It does not cover any of the works that we're talking about doing to the footpaths. So we're waiting to hear back from them as to what we can do in terms of engagement. But that's where we are. I've also asked her to send me through some more some actual plans to show us the sort of things they're talking about doing. And what I'll do is I'll circulate that with members once I get it, and also liaise with the church and the residents who are up there so they're aware that something is happening. But as yet, we don't have a date because we're still waiting to hear back from the funding. So, but that's where we are. At least she's put the paperwork in and is working its way through the system. And it was interesting when they were talking about the grant you can apply for. So we're part of that system already in the Rivers Authority. But the other bit they mentioned, the Community Flood Action Fund, sounds something that might want to tap up on another occasion.
Yes.
Okay.
Toilet contract. Yeah, I think something, Amanda, that you raised, we ought to consider looking at the contract as it comes up for its annual time, 1 year in November, no, December actually. Whether we need to look at tendering again for that contract.
Also, there was the addition of whether it needs to be cleaned an extra time during the summer months, wasn't it? So, yeah.
It seems to have been all right this year, though, hasn't it? It's been okay, I think. Well, we said unless it was really bad, the extra cost, it was, and it seems to be perfectly adequate doing it. I've been checking it out on the Wednesday. It's nice and clean. It's been okay, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Question whether you think that a year is long enough to give these guys, you know, and why give it longer?
Well,
Regarding the toilets, I understand they're closed at night. I tried to use it the other night and it was locked.
Someone made their respect.
yeah, the one in the door in the middle is the only one that's
No,
still
this
remain
was
locked.
the
That's the
first
storeroom. The two others should be open. They're not locked at night.
Right.
Who would have the keys to lock them?
Only us.
I've got a key.
The shop.
Where I am.
No shop doesn't have any keys to the toilets. So
Maybe
it
somebody
is.
was in there accidentally.
Actually, well,
Yeah.
we tried to use it once. And my daughter couldn't open the door. We just assumed someone was in there.
I mean, there
Is
is.
it red on the thing?
I don't remember it being red, no.
It's worth double checking because there is a display. It's either red or green. If
Yes.
it's locked or unlocked.
Usually, if it's looked on the inside, it's red, isn't it?
Yeah, but if then okay. We
But then
might be
I
checking
use the
if
same-
various people are having trouble getting in, if there is an issue with the document.
So we'll check in a minute.
Yeah. Okay. But no, it's not.
Right.
No one is actually locking it.
Okay.
The only complaint I had during the last month was apparently at some point the kids had obviously discovered the emergency alarm. So I got a call from one of the neighbours saying there's an alarm going off in the shop. Came down and found it was actually the toilet, not the.
It's gone on quite a long time without that happening, isn't it?
Yes. Okay.
So what
do
do
we do with the
you do?
contracts?
So what do you want to do? It's up to you.
Well, no, it's only because I remember last year when we had to put something in place quickly, and it was said that we would,
Review.
I think we only committed to the year,
Yeah,
with them,
yeah.
so it
yes,
wouldn't
and
be
whether,
unreasonable to go out to tender.
whether it goes out to tender and just like any, you know.
You need to go into the BKM in November, wouldn't it, actually?
Yes.
Tender.
So deadline for that is the 6th.
I do know that they do go and check it on a Wednesday. They make it very clear that they shouldn't.
Yeah.
They like to,
Yes.
which is very nice of them.
I would say, obviously, we're discussing the reset next month, November. Their charges will go up. So we were letting them know that it's been a year.
Exactly, yes, because we don't want to find that we just think it's rolling on
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
so there's a big jump, yeah.
And it could be this. I mean, we could go rather like we do with the maintenance. It could be a 3-year contract, as long as we decide what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
I think they do a good job, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah, we just need
not
to.
had any complaints about
No.
cleaning. Okay.
Okay, so something for the BKM.
Excellent. Confidential matters. So I need to read out this bit. So, in accordance with the
You need to turn the video on.
I will do, but I need to do this first.
So,
So I need to say that in accordance with section 1(2) of the Public Bodies Administrations to Meetings Act 1960 and extended by Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972, the public, including the press, be excluded from the meeting because of confidential nature of the following business to be transacted. Is there a proposal that we do that? Okay, seconded. All those in favour, please show. That's clearly carried, at which point I will pause. Is that going in?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so that takes us on to the master report. Do you want to start with Jane? Anything that you want to raise for?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, Amanda?
No.
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 Not from me? No. Okay, that's everything complete. Thank you very much for attending. Next meeting is November 5th. Thank you very much.
Can I be really cheeky and leave the washing up tonight?